Today, we're talking all things time, location, and financial freedom with some special guests, the Exodus Summit. So, a little background story that I'm so excited to share and share space with these women. These women are folks that I never met in person, but have been such a pivotal part of my journey abroad, on YouTube, as well as shifting my YouTube experience into a business. And so this space can get it can get crazy. It can get isolating. It can get lonely. It can get hard, but it can be even more beautiful and resilient when you have community. And so I have a great community in these women, as well as 10,000 plus, almost 15,000 other Black women that have a desire to live and move abroad. So welcome to the channel if you're new. If you're not, welcome back. I'm Ashley. On this channel, Ashley in Africa, we talk about my experience of living, moving, and doing business on the continent of Africa. So if you have an interest, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm also the founder of Africa Investors Academy, which is a global community of entrepreneurs building remote and location independent businesses so that they can move and live anywhere in the world, but intentionally for the growth of Africa. So I can't wait to bring on our guests, Stephanie Perry and Rashida Dow, co-founders of the Exodus Summit. Welcome, ladies.
Hello. Thanks, Ashley. Hey, hey.
Yay. So welcome so much. Please introduce yourselves to the audience, which we all share such an amazing audience. I get so much traffic from your channel, Rashida, still get traffic from your channel, Stephanie. So thank you again for joining, but give us and the audience a few minutes and let us know who you are and what you do and how you do it and who you do it for, which is most important.
Hi, my name is Rashida Dow. I am a YouTuber. I am a career break coach that helps women leave jobs that don't serve them in order to live a life they love wherever in the world they want to be. But I'm here today because I'm the co-founder of Exodus Summit, which is the premier online event for Black women who want to move abroad or take career breaks. You don't have to believe me. Essence said it. So you know it must be true. And we're very excited today to be here with you. So thank you very much, Ashley.
Yes, thank you. Welcome.
And I'm Stephanie Perry. I am the other founder of Exodus Summit. I'm also a house sitter and the creator of House Sitter School. I had, like Rashida, I had my life changed by stepping away from work, taking a career break, and doing whatever I wanted to do. For me, that was traveling a lot and forming community with new women, new Black women who are into the same things, travel, into sabbaticals, into career breaks, into moving abroad. So yeah, we're really excited to be here to talk with you. You are one of you're our greatest success story. You're one of our big success stories. We take all the credit. I don't know if you give us the credit, but we take all the credit.
None of the blame, all the credit. That's how we like
credit. I appreciate that. I appreciate just the community. I appreciate that you both were willing to push through the fear that obviously exists, the doubt that obviously exists, to share your experience, to encourage other women to do the same, and to support them as they continue to work through all of those. So I appreciate you, and I'm excited. I'm excited and so grateful. So can we get a little backstory on what was the catalyst for you both when it came to deciding that you wanted something different, you wanted a new environment, and you knew like, this isn't it? What was that catalyst for you both?
I on my sabbatical or my gap year or my career break, I decided I couldn't go back to life the way it was. I didn't take the career break in 2015 to make a big change. I just took the career break to travel. right? It was just easier to quit my job and travel than it was to travel with a job. So I did that. And during that time, I went to Southeast Asia, I went to Australia, a little bit of Europe. During that time, I got to find out that I was not living a whole life as a person in the United States with a regular job. I was just a worker. And I couldn't turn back. I couldn't go back to that. I used up all of my sabbatical money, which was the plan. I came back to the United States with no money, no job. And instead of getting right back into that cycle of working all the time, being a worker, having no full life, I decided to find a way to do things very differently.
Okay. And I love how you said being a worker and not having a full life, because that's true. I just started communicating that I no longer have work-life balance. I have life. I live life and I work while I'm living.
That's right. Even the phrase work-life balance tells you that work should be half and life should, that's not it. That's not it. No, work should be a piece. It's just the means to an end. Your work should just get you to the life. It should help. No, work should not get you to the life. Work should help you get the things that you want in your life, right? But it should not eat up a good portion of your life.
No.
So for me, when I took my career break, I don't want to say it was a matter of life or death, but it was really a matter of sanity. Yeah. I was one of those employees who was on the edge of like, don't make it today. Like this, any day now is the day where I throw a computer at somebody's head or just like say, I'm not coming in. Like, y'all need something from me? That's fine. You'll never see me again. Like I know a lot of Black women who are in the same position where they're like, I can't keep doing the same thing. So for me, I was planning on taking a year break with the help of my therapist. I will always shout her out, with the help of my therapist at the time, because I wouldn't have been able to do this on my own. I needed support and community, and that's where I found it. I found it from my therapist. Because I was like, my company was going out of business, and I was supposed to be looking for another job. And I was applying to places and showing up for interviews like, why am I here? What y'all want? What are we talking about? I was like, this is not the way to get hired. Showing up like, why have you called me here is not the way. I was not putting my best foot forward. And I knew that I couldn't handle another job like the last job. And a lot of the jobs that we look at are just like, if you strip it down to its core, are just like the last job. Mm-hmm. My plan was to take a break for a year, travel, and then after a year of a break, come back and get a job like the last job. But like my sanity, I would be rested. I wouldn't be burned out. I would be happy. I would have experienced the world. But about like 3 or 4 months into my break, my body was doing things that it hadn't done in a long time. I think actually a couple weeks, maybe like 3 or 4 weeks in, but like 3 months in, I was fully like, I didn't realize what a toll stress from work was having on my life by way of my body and the ways it was breaking down until I wasn't working. So then I was like, wait, it's healthier not to work? Like that should be a prescription, right? Like, hello, doctors. Prescribe me some off, please. And then about 6 months into it, after being free and not having to like clock in for a job or be on time for a meeting or talk to anyone I don't want to talk to. That was it for me. I ain't got to talk to anybody I don't want to talk to, but to go back to work, I'm going to have to do that. I said, no. That was it for me. No. I took a break. I loved the feeling of not having to answer to anyone but myself. Mm-hmm. And then a year later, I was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I won't be working. I won't be working traditionally in like the sense. I moved to Mexico City at the end of that year. And I was kind of like, I'll figure it out. I don't know what I'm doing next, but I'll figure it out. Because I can't go back to the same work environment, put myself in a situation where I might end up in the hospital again, right? I'm not doing that.
No. And you're right. There's so many of us high performing, successful, highly, matriculated Black women in corporate that are on the verge, but we're doing all of the things that include medication, self-medication, through shopping, through alcohol, whatever.
Yoga instructor certifications.
Right? A PhD, yoga certification is a big one. That is so funny. But yes, but like doing all of those things, coping and literally on the brink of breaking. That was also my story where I, was laid off the third time in 5 years. And I was just like, oh, the world is spinning. There's a lot happening. I have to do something. And it was actually, I was forced into that kind of independence of work. Yeah. But then I learned like, oh, there's no way I'm going back to that. And that didn't happen until, of course, like later into probably a few months into my sabbatical. But I want to take a step back from that, because I think when we talk about sabbatical, at least for me, when I first heard the word sabbatical, I thought it was for old white male professors at universities. Never even knew that it was something that I could, as a Black woman in her mid-career, think about doing. Mm-hmm. How did that idea of a career gap or sabbatical enter into your awareness? Like, where'd that come from? And how the decision and the knowing that you could do that, how did that work for you, Stephanie? Rashida, I know you said your therapist kind of helped you along that journey, but how about you, Stephanie? How did you know that that was even an option for you?
I saw some young white YouTubers taking gap years, but they were usually doing it after college, right? I saw some white kids doing it. And then once I got out in the world on my own gap year, my own sabbatical, that's when I saw that people of all ages did it. And I was like, oh, I got to go back and tell my girls about this. Yeah. So I knew we know that you either get to be yourself after you've dedicated your best physical years to work, right? Mm-hmm. After when you're retirement age, or sometimes people let you be yourself when you're very young. Mm-hmm. But people in the middle don't get to enjoy their lives, right, traditionally in the United States. And being out and traveling around, and after I was doing it, I traveled around and I saw that, oh, people in other countries, those Europeans, they be outgoing, right? They just go whenever they feel like it, wherever they feel like it. Their jobs don't have a whole lot of pushback, it doesn't seem, But the original idea for me came from seeing younger people doing it. It's nice to have some place where you can find like community or something with people of different generations. Yeah. Because the younger people, I'm 49 now. I was 41 when I left jobs. And it was nice to see how the younger people, carved out a different path for themselves.
Because I'm a yoga instructor, I would see people in the yoga world from different countries, different ages, mostly young, post like, oh, hey, I'm working at this restaurant. I'm a waitress at this restaurant for 6 months, but then I'm going to go to Asia for 6 months. And every time I saw it in my office at my computer, I'd be like, must be nice to be so irresponsible, to not have, you know what I mean? Like, to not have a mortgage you got to pay, or to just do whatever you want, whenever you want. Many errors were made on my end with that. One is the must be nice, because that's some hating stuff right there, right? Like, I had
that's to own
I wanted, but I admired, and I never allowed myself to say that because it didn't feel like a possibility. And the other side was that, I was counting their coins a little bit. Like, how do you just, you know what I mean? Like, how do you just go for 6 months? And none of my business, right? Like, we all get there in different ways. Instead of focusing on how come they got to do it and how did they get to do it, I needed to be focused on how I could do it. And once I thought about it, I don't know if it was me or my therapist who brought it up first, but once I thought about it and I allowed myself to I thought about it and I was like, no, I can't afford it. Yeah. And then one day I was like, what if you just did the math and checked your accounts? and figured out how much money you could spend on it. Once I did that, I was like, oh, I can do this. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a lot of times we think people who do this must be like independently wealthy, or there's no way to, like, you need to have, like, I hear all the time who are like, well, when I get like, you know, $500,000 saved or $1 million saved, I'm like, are you going to spend $1 million in a year? Like, are you going to spend $500,000 in a year? Or do you need, like, I don't know, like $10,000 to take 6 months off so that you don't go insane, right? Like, how close to the edge are you? And if you're at the edge now, what can we do with the money you have?
Mm.
And so for me, it took, I think, the, like, that little bit of like jealousy and like / admiration from the must be nice was always in the background. And but how can you be so irresponsible? And what about, you know, life stuff? Well, when I lost my job because the company went out of business and my lease was up and all these things were happening at the same time, it was like, oh, I don't have to be responsible. I can. And everything lined up really well for me at the time to take a break. And it was like, now or never. Like, there's, you know, in our life, there are times where we're going to have opportunities and we need to be ready to walk through the door at this point. If I'd re-signed the lease, there's no chance I was going to take, you know, a break. Every time the lease came up, I just re-signed it, I'm sure. But everything lined up perfectly for me. And I was out the door. But it really took watching, like, judging people in a way that I shouldn't have been judging people is what, like, I think kept the idea buried. But it also, I went into it with the idea that it would never happen for me. And so I think it might have taken me longer than it would have if I was open to the idea of how can I make this happen for me. So.
Absolutely. And I love what you said, Stephanie, about the allowance of America that says, oh, you can do this really young, or, oh, you can do this really old. That in between is like, what are you doing? Why aren't you being responsible? And that just gave me a light bulb, because I recognize that that's what my friends, most of them that I haven't talked to, must be thinking. Like, they're like, because there has been this like, so what's going on? You know, and I'm barely, you know, I'm almost 3 years into my journey. So there is still this expectation of like, so when are you coming back? Like, so are you planning? Like, and I don't even, we can't even finish the conversation because the peace, the silence that happens on the phone, there's this, no. But I get it now, because there is that thought, like, where are you getting this money from? How are you doing this? And the reality is, it's so, for me, a family of 3, it is way more affordable to live on this side of the world, to be flexible on this side of the world, to work part-time on this side of the world, and to be of service, to also give the visual representation of what that looks like, because I didn't have that. Like, I didn't go, I hadn't done YouTube searches really on the concept of it when I made the decision I did. But I wasn't necessarily seeing myself in that space. And sabbatical, I didn't get until actually, I think, watching you, Stephanie. Or both of you. I think it was like my first time watching both of you, and like seeing that conversation, seeing that dynamic, and being like, oh, this is a thing. Like, women are doing this. Like, yes, how can, you know, I need to be up in this community, because at the time I was definitely struggling with acceptance from my family and friends. COVID had kind of passed and people were back outside and back to normal life. So they were like, so when are you getting back to work? Like, you've been lollygagging all over Africa on Instagram. So what's happening? How are you going to pay for, you know, how are you going to pay for that? When are you coming back? So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, you do need to find you do need to find a different community when you're going to do something like this. Yeah. You're the same people who cheer for you when you go to grad school, or when you buy a home, or a bigger home and a car and a bigger car. Those are not the same people who are going to cheer for you when you decide to live life on your own terms, right? When you decide that you're going to do things a little easier now, right? The people who are used to cheering for you striving are not the same people who are going to cheer for you resting. But Somebody will. You just have to
Right.
find them. You create that community. You find that community. This is a movement. This is not a you know, it's not the three of us. It is a movement. You have to find community with people who are going to be there, to be on your side then. And then the other people will come around. They'll come around. We're early. I think we're very early in this whole thing. And so we just have to find community where we can, instead of waiting for our existing community to be on board.
Yes, I totally agree with that. One of the reasons why community is a part of my platform is because of that, because it is such a, you know, alternative way of life, you know, is an alternative thinking. And speaking of community, did you both have an idea that your community of Black women wanting to bop around the globe or have career breaks or just leave America all behind, did you have an idea when you started this community how big and how impactful it was going to be? I want to know, like, what that conversation was like when you were thinking of the idea, thinking of doing something like this together, and what the conversation is like as you're preparing to go into Exodus Summit season for the biggest Exodus Summit ever.
We didn't start this out with a planned community. We didn't say we're going to do this and create community. Our first year, we were like, let's just get all the people we know or we can think of who do things and have in their life modeled a behavior that will be helpful to the women who want to move abroad. Let's get them all and have them all talk. We did 7 days, 50 something speakers. It was, woo! The first year was a lot. But we got, like, you know, we got so many different women. We got moms who were traveling with their kids and people who traveled in RVs. Like, we just had a large variety of people. And we created the Facebook group solely to support that summit that year, with the idea that we did a few chats in the Facebook group. We hosted a few events in the Facebook group just to support the summit. But when the idea came of, like, okay, well, we're done with the summit and now it's time to close the group, the ladies were like, nah, you're not closing. Okay, that was cute. That was cute that you thought you were going to create a Facebook group for this and then close it. But, like, we're family now. So we'll be in this group. You guys can go. It was pretty much like, y'all can go if you want to, but we'll be here in the group, creating this community together. And so it was within that year that we realized that community was one of the pieces that people were missing. I don't think we realized it. I know I didn't realize it until we did the summit and we did the Facebook group, that community was one of the aspects that the women we were in conversation with needed. Yeah. And so that's how the community happened. The ladies demanded it. They were like, your plans are cute, but we're not doing that.
Yes. And what is it like now going into your fourth Exodus Summit?
This is our 4th year hosting Exodus Summit. Now we are a community. So before, we thought we were like educational, right? And the community is added in, but now the community is just as important, right? The community aspects, the community activities are just as important as the educational sessions, as the speakers who come in. Mm-hmm. So now they go together. We can't do anything without giving our community, the Exodus Squad, opportunity to be together and get together, mm-hmm. right? We could try, but then they will take over. It's wonderful. Listen, to anyone who is considering running a business and is afraid of niching to excluding people, okay? I'm gonna tell you this. It is wonderful running a community of just Black women. They are really caring and wonderful with each other and with us. Mm-hmm. They're very vocal about what they want and they don't want. We don't have to try to guess and read people's minds and hope they'll like this and wonder if they'll come. They're supportive. It's been amazing. It's amazing.
The most amazing thing to me is that they are a community, like I said earlier, whether we're there or not. They in our first, after the first summit, I think starting the second summit, we started doing accountability groups. So people started groups together for where they wanted to go in the world. Oh, you want to go to Jamaica? I want to go too. Let's have a Jamaica group. A bunch of people wanted to come to Mexico City. The Mexico City group did so well that they closed the group down because everybody who was in the group was already there. Like they've all like helped each other. One person moved and then gave tips. This is how I did this. This is how I did that, and really support each other. But now our women are just, you know, like they're going on vacations together and they're meeting up for drinks and for coffee and whatever in any city without us, whether we're there or not. Irrelevant. If we're there, they try to meet us.
Yes.
But without us, they are the support they've been looking for the dreams that they have that are unfulfilled. Oof. And that's something that we couldn't take away, right? Even if we stopped doing community focused events within the summit and within our group, the train is running. It's down the track, right? Like these people are family. Every year, well, for the past 2 years and coming up in our 3rd year, we also do an in-person portion. We went to Cancun the 1st year, Marrakesh, Morocco the 2nd year. This 3rd year, we're going to, in 2024, going to Cape Town in South Africa. And the women are showing up a week early with plans. Okay, I'm gonna meet you in Mauritius, right? And we're gonna be there for a week, and then we'll come. Like they're not inviting us nowhere.
Now we get to look at them and be like, must be nice.
Right. Back to the same spot.
Yes.
And these are women who don't know each other, but they know that when you're part of the Exodus Summit family, you're coming in very heart-centered. You're coming in wanting to help people. You're coming in wanting to see other Black women win. And the women who join us are women who want that in their life and bring it to the table. Every once in a while, someone sneaks in who's not our people. They quickly leave. Like our community will quickly tell them, like, no, we don't.
Quickly identified. Yeah.
We don't do that here. Someone will be like, no, baby. We don't. We don't. Like, we're very nice. Everyone's very nice to each other. Everyone speaks kindly to each other. It's what we require of our community. And they do it with no problems. So it's my favorite spot on the internet, our Facebook group.
Yes. It's a beautiful space. When you said these women are the community and support that they've been looking for, that I want to cry like on the internet for the first time ever, because it's so true. And I think that's why I am just so grateful to like be in the space with you both at this time. You know, it was such a full circle moment. I remember wanting to, you know, I had done my sabbatical without sharing on YouTube. And it wasn't until I was really in a, like, you know, I'd say a dark hour where I knew that I wanted to return to the continent, and I knew that that's where I was going to end up. And I knew that I needed to shine a really bright light on my experience, to not only, mostly for myself, to affirm the experience that I had had, despite the experience that it was trying to be created for me, from other people wanting me to return back to their safe space. And that's when I, you know, discovered you both on the internet. And it was different though, because prior to you both, I was looking at content specifically on Africa. Specifically people living in Africa, whether it was West Africa, East Africa, South Africa. And so then kind of seeing you both as women that weren't coming from, you know, weren't on YouTube to make a life of sharing their experience, had made your life, had decided you were going to improve your life, and then decided sharing on social media. It was a different perspective that I needed to see. And that I needed permission. Like I needed to give myself permission. I needed to see you all to have the permission to say, okay, this is something that I can do. And it doesn't have to be running around with a camera all day. It doesn't have to be editing videos like front to back. It can be me sharing my experience, sharing value, giving perspective, and positioning myself so that somebody else can hear this piece that I found and know that is possible for them. Because now more than ever, I realize the desire that so many people have And from your Facebook, I mean, from the Facebook groups, from the comments, from the Instagram, from the meetups. I got an email yesterday of somebody saying, it was a guy, actually. I think it's a husband of one of the women who's booked a ticket. Hey, you know, when me sending out my emails, hey, you may not respond, but thanks for all you do. And we hope to see you in Cape Town in February. And I'm like, this is a man. So I'm like, so what's going on in Cape Town? And he's like, oh, my wife, an Exodus sub meetup. And I was like, wow, like, it's amazing. It's so powerful. And you always say, you're nothing, you're not special. We're not special, but we are deciding to leap in the fear, bringing the fear with us, and supporting other women on that journey.
That's right.
As well. So it's just been, you know, an amazing 360 moment, to be able to see you both, listen to you, hear the value you bring, absorb it, reshare it out, and continue to collaborate. And it's been amazing. So what was the desire to turn the experience into a business for you both, I think, independently, before deciding to charge people for Exodus Summit?
Yeah.
For me, it's actually funny because how I met Stephanie. Women were reaching out to me all the time when I was traveling. I was posting out my travels. I was blogging, making YouTube videos, like very, very bad YouTube videos. Don't go back and watch them. They're terrible. And along the way, people started reaching out to me and being like, hey, like Black women, like, I want to do this too. Can I pick your brain about how to do it? And so I've been helping women one-on-one. And one of those women, Courtney, mentioned Stephanie to me. She's like, well, do you know Stephanie Perry? And I was like, no. She's like, well, you should. And that's how we actually got connected in 2019, I think. Doing that for a while, if anyone has done the like, I will help you for free kind of thing, you know, it's just not a sustainable model. Because folks don't be showing up. They're not ready. They're just wasting your time. They're rescheduling at the last minute, all that stuff. And I was like, if I want to keep helping people, it has to be a paid model, because I came home early from an event, right? I came home early, or I didn't do something because I had something scheduled on my calendar for free and the person didn't show up. No, right? And so I realized I needed to charge that.
We all know that. Look, we all.
I changed my day around to talk to you when you're not going to show up. So I realized it had to be paid, because if I was going to, and this is a lesson for anyone who wants to do a business, them free people will run you ragged. They will.
And the cheap ones. The discounts.
And so I put a price on it, and then that turned into a business.
Yeah. The summit, our first year, was free with an option to pay. But frankly, listen, we saw the transformations. Women were starting their sabbaticals during the summit, right? The summit was 7 days long. It was too long. But before we could even finish the sessions, women were like, this has transformed me. That is not a free, that is not something that we should be working so hard on for free. Yes. Right?
So to Stephanie's point, I've never been as tired as I was in my life before the summit. I've never in my life been that like consistently day after day working at least 18 hours at my computer, staring, getting stuff done for weeks on end. We had a paid option, but even to this day where people can still buy it, we've made like $17,000 from that summit's ticket sales for 7 days of summiting. We've served over 5,000 women in that summit. We made $17,000, and we pay all our speakers. So we had to pay women out of that $17,000 too. No. Like I literally, if we weren't going to charge anymore, we wouldn't have done it anymore.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's absolutely. But now it's really beautiful because we do charge. but we get to pay Black women. Some Black women are getting more money for us for speaker fees than they will have ever gotten in their life, right? Like we get to pay the money. I saw something the other day about like not saying you're spending money, but you're circulating money. We circulate money within Black women, right? We get paid by Black women. And anybody else, if y'all want to donate, if you want to donate money for tickets, we will take your money too. A little link down below, maybe.
Link in the description.
We pay Black women. We go out of our way to hire Black women for everything we do. And it's a really beautiful experience circulating that money. Like, yes, we charge for tickets, but we have a lot of women who buy tickets, who've attended, who've already achieved the result, right? They've attended a previous summit. They're already abroad. They don't need the help. They show up, they buy tickets, and they donate tickets so other women who can't afford to go can go. It's just one of those like communities where the giving action is a continuous flow, and it feels really nice.
I think that's so important because I participated in Stephanie's YouTube Success Challenge, which was incredible. It was the catalyst for me posting my first video and putting it out there, and then participating in the Get Your Next 3 Clients Challenge. And what I'll say is, even in the community of all of the people that you serve, they are people who serve. Yeah. And so when that is the community that you are around and circulating in, money just becomes an energy, a life form that when you're giving into something, you're going to get it back tenfold, 100. I mean, and just because I love and value the way that y'all communicate money, because we need to talk about money. Right. We need to talk about numbers. That is why that's a reason for so many things, but the way that you've been able to transparently share your successes financially, because we want to hear that. We need to hear that. I remember my corporate life trying to get my colleague to tell me how much she was making, because she kept telling me I should be making more. And I said, well, what is that number? And she refused to tell me. And I was just like, this is, keeping me in a situation that I shouldn't be in, but because of some unspoken rule, you don't want to talk about money. And that is, I think it's so important. I remember being so happy with the speaker fee that I got, and then getting an email saying, hey, so we're going to send some more money. And I was just like, that was not, I remember being just so grateful and like emotional about that. Cause I walked away pleasantly happy, filled, and it was just an extra bonus that affirmed that y'all are my people, right? Like I'm in the right group of people, because there is that compassion, that self-compassion, that intention, that mutual support. And so it's just, I love seeing it kind of from the outside in, and kind of on the circle, on the sidelines as well, looking at both the community and the players. It's just phenomenal. So the beauty that you both have created has been phenomenal. And the way that, Black women, we're just magical. We just, when we commune and when we get in community like that, it's just awesome. So tell me about the excitement and the decision to make the next meetup in Cape Town. What ladies can expect.
Rashida, Rashida wanted to do it in Johannesburg, okay, which in hindsight would have been a better, okay, I say this in front of you, would have been a better choice, okay? Rashida said Johannesburg, and so I start telling everybody we're going to Cape Town, because I thought that I just wanted to go to the wineries. Frankly, I just wanted to go to Stellenbosch and wear a pretty dress and take pictures, okay? But we really like getting our community together in person, someplace where they can do some scouting out too, where they can find, because so many of our women want to move abroad. we like to go someplace where they can check it out, and go to a place where they can check out and see if this is interesting to them. Mexico was an easy choice because so many of our women are interested in Mexico. Morocco was a little bit of a stretch, but Morocco is an easy flight from a lot of Europe, and not cheap, but easy flight to a lot of Africa and the Middle East, right? And so South Africa made a wonderful choice because we have so many women interested in South Africa. In now West and East Africa, which again, expensive, might not be cheap to get to from South Africa, but is, you know, possible. So it makes sense to get together in a place where we can have a fun time, have a great time, and where they can spend some extra time scouting it out, seeing what their life could look like here.
Right. And so we're very excited about them traveling. Our last year, we had at least, I think, 2 women in Marrakesh who had never left the US before, or had never solo traveled. One of the 2. But having these women who, through this experience, now feel more confident about the idea of moving to the region or moving abroad alone, and knowing that they have community because they've seen these women in person, it's just magic in the making. I really love it. I will say that reminded me of something. At our first summit, we had someone who had never solo traveled before. She left, I want to say like 3 months after our first summit in 2020, she left the US. I don't think she's been back since. Like, she comes back every once in a while, and she's there for like 2 weeks, and then she's back in the streets again. And this is someone by herself, with family visiting her every once in a while, family or friends visiting her. But I'm like, you went from not solo traveling at all to coming to the summit, and now like years of in the streets solo. And it's a testament to the fact that with the right women at your back, you can do anything.
Yeah. Seriously. Cape Town is going to be a vibe. It's going to be amazing. The wineries are going to be amazing. There are actually someone in the Africa Investors Academy got her passport, booked her trip to the meetup, and it will be her first trip outside of the country. And her desire is to move to South Africa. So she's excited to come to Cape Town because there's a lot of, you know, it's a beautiful country. There's a little bit of a rivalry between Cape Town and Johannesburg, and they have their, you know, but it's beautiful. There are incredible Black women that are in Cape Town. So I think it's gonna be fab. But we'll welcome, you know, Johannesburg anytime. I definitely plan on being there.
You know that it's Sorry. You know that it's right before Jazz Fest, Cape Town.
Yes, I saw that in the email.
Okay.
We're very excited about that.
The flights are
staying around a little longer.
Yeah, the flights are really good. I've got friends now in Cape Town, having been in Johannesburg, in South Africa it's collectively been a year, but since I moved in January, it will be you know, it will be like 9 months, or it's 9 months now. So I've got friends I can stay with. So I'm thrilled. Cape Town is a beautiful place. It's a beautiful launch pad for people that are interested in exploring the continent and still want to have, you know, a lot of the development and the modern conveniences that we're used to and are not interested in living, you know, that want all that there is to offer. I always say Africa is all things, luxury included. And Cape Town is like one of the places that are at the pinnacle of that, to experience that. So to experience that with 100 Black women, that's power. That's powerful. And everywhere we go we're going to experience that same energy. So I'm excited. I'm excited. Stellenbosch is going to be fantastic. So, yeah, this has been so fun, so full circle. Anything that we haven't talked about that we should go over?
Yeah, so you brushed over it a little bit, but I just want to say, not only did you go from, you know, I have this idea to I'm doing it, I'm living it, but you have spoken in Exodus Summit to teach other Black women what you're doing to show us a way, not the way, but a way. You came into 2022 and did a session on starting a business, growing a business and community, which is, as we can tell, so important. And something that you're living out. You can go to a new place and you can find a need and fill a need. But it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be easy definitely if you don't have community in that place. You have to be ingrained, or you have to be in the community. You can't stay on the outside. Sometimes when people, American people, go to another country and they want to start a business, sometimes there can be the inclination to like wall yourself off.
Yep.
You've done such a wonderful job of showing us how important it is to be in community with the community you live in. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for coming to Exodus Summit 2022 and showing our women a way, giving them the behind the scenes look at how you have done things, the steps that you took, some mistakes, some successes, so that they can figure out their own plan. It's been wonderful. Like I said, this is a movement, and we're sisters in a movement. We are doing things in a way that is not the norm, and it takes all of us together to get what we want, right? To get to where we're going, all of us. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
And so now, your summit has already the summit, the Africa Investor Summit was last month. Right?
Yes.
Was there a community piece involved in the summit this time?
So it's interesting too that you say that. And I didn't realize I glossed over the fact that I did get to speak last year, and I actually mentioned it, but I hadn't formalized it enough to announce it to the community at the event. But yeah, it was, they were people that came from all over the world. There were some folks from the Caribbean, some folks from South America, and some folks from the US, all diasporans, African Americans that were already, some of them were already living abroad, and they had an interest in investing. And yeah, there was all of the relationships. I actually talked about it that I wasn't able to travel because I was dealing with some immigration issues and I couldn't physically travel to the summit. Like, I found out a month beforehand and I was just like struggling, hoping that something would come through. And I ended up managing it remotely. So the women that I had developed in community with while I was there were both Tanzanian women, knocked it out of the park. And they were able to completely manage it on the ground. I tapped in remotely. I showed up during the summits, the conversations, but together we were able to bring in the mayor's office of Zanzibar, the president's office of investment and economic development, different developers, but were partners. You know, we had it at the Park Hyatt. It was a 5-star experience. I definitely I'm looking to make it more of a premium price next year because I did learn like, ooh, like, you know, you gotta, them in-person events, they're expensive and they're a lot of work, but it was really impactful. We have deals closing. We'll probably be able to report over $2 million in investment on the island of Zanzibar, 2.3 for our first one. So I definitely was inspired to add that as a part of my business. But now, like, seeing you both as like my virtual mentors, my digital mentors, have it, you know, desire to, I did a couple of virtual, you know, promotions for it. And I saw that there is a need, right? There is a need. There's a desire for that information. The community has an interest. So we'll be working on that next. We'll be working on the virtual piece. But yes, it happened. It was amazing. It was a lot of work. But when you're in this like service, you know, where it's like the goal isn't to make money. The goal is to help others, give others access to opportunities that they wouldn't typically have access to without giving a platform or being that platform. We've already like discovered the value of life. It's not money. It's really the memories, the experiences, and the support, right? Of seeing other women like learn something because of you, or, you know, in my case, it's women, it's men, it's moms, it's families, because it is such a transformation, and it is life-changing. And, you know, I'm just grateful to be on the ride, you know, and to be a vessel.
So everyone watching should make sure that they click also on your link in the description for the next summit, because as Ashley just announced, yesterday's price is not today's price. We're going to wait too many more times to get into the summit, okay? Because money circulates real quick. That money circulates right out of your hands when you do events. That money circulates real fast, and you have to charging a dollar amount. It's hard to, no matter how much you think you've planned for when you're doing events, no matter how much you think you've planned for and prepared for. I know this is gonna, I know this, I need the money just.
Yes.
I feel like in the charging world, we see people who are charging like not enough, or people who are charging way too much, but that like sweet spot of like, yeah, that looks like really hard to find, because you never know what's going to come up. We've planned 4 online events, 2 in person, working on our 3rd in person. Every time we're like, this is the budget, but we're both people who are like, but if we go a little over, it's not a big deal. It's a big dangerous every time. We're thinking Cape Town right now. We're like, we didn't have flowers in the budget.
We don't have flowers. Like,
the tables are going to be plain with it. We need flat. Like, it's only money. Spend it.
We need flowers. We need
flowers on the table, or it'll be plain. If y'all show up and there's a plain table, y'all know why. The flowers cost too much. And we have an accountant now. Our accountant said we can't. She's got to be. We can't. No, you can't do that.
It's really nice to have a business partner who is also like, yeah, we're gonna spend some money. But we needed an accountant. We needed a responsible person in the mix to be like, no, we don't do that anymore.
Oh, that's good. That's so good. And I think, and I don't know if you both can relate to that, but as going back into that part of being of service, money comes easily and frequently. Yes. It's like, yes, we, you know, to live this life, I think you would have to have developed certain financial habits. Yeah. So you don't just throw those away. Those don't go away, but you recognize that like the money, when you're being of service and you're doing it with an intention to help and serve, that it just comes and goes easily and frequently, you know?
But Black women have to combat decades of messaging that you have to do this kind of selfless work for no money, right?
Oh, correct.
In order to make money, you have to work even harder. We have been taught a connection between hard work and more money. That is totally false, but we believe it. And so when we start thinking about how much work we're already doing for this amount of money, okay, and then you think, well, I would like to make this amount of money, that's going to take so much more harder work. It's going to take so much more of my time and my focus and my attention. Those are not true. Those are lies, right? Hard work does not equal more money. And you don't have, just because you're doing a work that is in service of other people does not mean you don't get paid for it, right?
That's true.
Those are lies. Those are, you know, but it takes work on yourself to reject those lies. It takes work on yourself to make more money. It really does. Yes, money is flowing. Money is flowing. Money is in abundance in the world. There's no shortage of money, right? We just need to get it circulating better. But Black women really have been taught from the very beginning that we have to do what we do not for money. Right. And that we have to do what we do, and that if we want to make more money, we have to work so hard. You have to work so much harder.
Right.
And it's something that we should all be aware of when we interact with people, because we frequently hear people say things like, why do you even charge for this? And it's like, I dedicate at least 3 months of my life every year to doing this. Like, you would never go up to someone's job and say like, you don't deserve to be paid. Like, I'm not walking into Target and being like, excuse me, Miss Manager, you don't deserve to get paid. Like, you shouldn't get paid for this. But the idea that when you're serving Black women or you're serving a community that looks like you should not get paid, or you should not charge, you should not make a profit. You should not be able to live a comfortable lifestyle off of the money. The other day we had, we're in a ticket announcement. Someone said, the reason these ladies can live the life they live is because y'all buy these tickets. It's like, yes.
Thanks for that. It's a business. This is a business.
It's a business.
It's a business. It's time.
Like, we do think
money.
The core of our business is steeped in love and care and service. But I also have to eat. Like the idea that, like, yes, we live the lives we live because we do a service that thousands of, like, we already have 1,000 women signed up for this summit. Yes. Like 1,000 women know they want this service. So what's the answer? That we don't charge or we don't provide the service? We got to stop coming to Black women and telling them that they don't deserve, because that's what we've heard, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of times it's what we hear. We are to be of service. In our communities, we're the ones that do the majority of the work for the least return. At work, we're the ones who do the majority of the work for least return, which is how we know hard work doesn't equal more money. Because if hard work equaled more money, who would have more money than a Black woman?
Hello.
Right?
Yeah. You're so right.
That's not the answer, right? No, but we're so steeped in it, but sometimes we say the same thing to our sister, right? Like, why aren't these tickets free? Because I got to pay these people, right? Like, and I got
and I'm working from that place of and you're right, because I realized I get that too. And I think there's always going to be those people that see you doing a thing that couldn't and won't do that thing, but think you shouldn't do it and get paid for it and be great at it and thrive at it and get media for it. Like, you know, so I agree 1,000%. I definitely work with women around that mind shift of saying, if you are bringing someone transformation in their life, show them that that transformation is life-changing in the way you price it, but also in the way you show up for them. Because if you're telling a person that you are going to help them transition out of a toxic environment, but you charging $25, you know, say, well, that don't sound like it's going to be too helpful, or, you know, they're going to think twice. And so I have had to do a lot of that work myself to remember and to communicate that and to see that in return and recognize, like, oh, yes, I can price myself at this. And I remember, Rashida, you talking about that, and you talking about people saying, I wish your prices were more affordable. And you were like, they are affordable for the people that can afford it. Yeah. And the people who care. And I think having to, when you have a desire, like Black, I mean, because we have buying power, right? So we're going to spend money on the things we value. We're going to spend money on the things we value. And it's literally, there's, you know, man.
Yeah.
There's so much, but it's, you know, the work that, thank you, Stephanie, you know, for seeing that and sharing that and affirming me in that. But the work that we're all doing is so powerful, so transformative. And I'm just, you know, again, grateful to be in community with you all, to be a part of the squad, to see the transformations happening. There's a lot of folks that come to me from, you know, the Exodus Squad community and vice versa. And I'm just, you know, in awe and full of gratitude to both of y'all. So
thank you for having us today.
Absolutely. So the link will be in the bio to get your tickets to Exodus Summit 2024. You don't want to miss it. It's value packed. I'm still today consulting with people, sending them to Exodus Summit 2023, because anytime anybody says, well, how can I do it financially? There are 36 ways you can do it I'm going to give you videos and
Mhm.
people to all of those ways that you can do it. And so people, you definitely want to get those replays if you have a desire to move, to, you know, take a year off, because once you take that year off, you're gonna not want to come back. But if you just want to do 6 months, if you just want to do, you know, an intentional 90 days and you don't know how you can possibly do it, or if it's possible for you, it is. I'm here to tell you that it is. And there is a community of women, a large community of Black women that will support you along the way. So thank you again, Stephanie and Rashida. The link will be in the description. Until the next video, we'll see you soon.